My wife had an accident, and it turned out she was cheating, so I left her at the hospital without any money, divorced her, and made her single and jobless. Yesterday I got a call from the hospital to say that my wife Andrea, who is 29, had had an accident on my 35-minute drive to the hospital. I just prayed that she would be safe. I rushed to the ER to find her getting treated. I was relieved to know that she was out of danger and that it was not a life-threatening accident. The nurse gave me her phone and other belongings. I asked her if they knew how the accident happened. She said the full details aren't available yet, but the police have been informed and are investigating the car. The police arrived and gave me a copy of their initial investigation. I was shocked to find that she was intoxicated and had collided with a parked car. And later she veered off the road and ended up on the sidewalk. Thankfully, she didn't drive to the other side and hit the road. As the details of the accident emerged, I began to wonder if she was even supposed to be driving at all. It was Wednesday afternoon, and she was supposed to be at work, not driving 25 miles away. Her home was the second reason why I thought she was drunk in the afternoon. The police gave me a copy of the dashboard footage, which seemed to suggest that Andrea was playing loud music and driving rashly. The alcohol was determined during her medical examination. I was investigated for an hour, as the police wanted to know if she was depressed or had a fight with me before she decided to get drunk and ram into a parked car. I had to show them the chats from the last couple of days. She texted me yesterday morning asking if I'd come late or usual. I said usual, but if I think it's going to be late, I'll let her know. She ended up with an I love you and a heart emoji. I didn't call her after that, so the cops thought I was behind her depression or whatever. They asked me what Andrea was doing at the scene of the accident, where she was returning from. I said I had no idea. They didn't believe me at first, but after an hour-long investigation, they let me go. There was no reason for them to suspect me. I was then allowed to meet Andrea. I entered her cabin and cuddled her. She was partly conscious. The first thing she asked me was where my phone was. I was shocked to see that she was still under local anesthetic and in pain, but all she cared about was her phone. I told her that it was with the hospital authorities, which seemed to calm her down. My mind was already preoccupied with the investigation report, and her strange question made me even more suspicious. There were so many questions racing through my mind, but I decided to wait until she had recovered. I cuddled her to sleep. Her behavior was strange, so I took her phone from her bag and checked it. It was discharged, so I used my power bank to charge it. When I switched it on, it was buzzing with notifications. I put it on silent, but there was still a continuous notification from one chat. I couldn't read the message from the lock screen. Then there was a call from someone saved as a contact called his corner house. This is a small eatery at the corner of our block from where we regularly order takeaways and home delivery. I was wondering why she was getting a call from the restaurant so late at night. I kept staring at the screen, contemplating whether to respond or not. There were now about 5 back. 2, I also got calls from that number, and sometimes I got chat notifications. I'm not an insecure person who snoops into my wife's personal space, but the evidence made me forget my morals. I unlocked her phone with her fingerprints. She was asleep on medication, and I spent the night sitting by her bed. I figured out that the chat notifications were... It turned out that the same contact she'd saved as Corner House had actually saved someone else's number with that restaurant name to cover her tracks if I ever saw the call or chat notification. If we were at home and I saw a call coming from Corner House, I'd never have suspected a thing. It came out that Andrea had been cheating on me for over 6 months. I checked a fair partner's number I checked my phone, and he wasn't on my contact list. I looked it up on a caller app and found his name was Kevin. I didn't know anyone with that name. The chat history was backed up until 6 months ago, so I'm guessing it's at least 6 months old. The chats were outrageous and demeaning to me. It was disheartening to read how she was describing her desires, for she said she was looking for a fair partner, but she was also mocking my abilities in bed. She said she could only last for a blink, and that she had to fake her orgasm to keep me happy. They had been meeting every week, and sometimes twice a week, at their secret hideout. She met with an accident when she was returning from her session, and that explains why she was asking about her phone. That's why she was drunk. Knowing Andrea, I got the impression that they had sex because she likes to have it when she's drunk, but I thought it was only with me. Then I found out she was going around sleeping with men in a drunken state, reading their chats. It made me sick to my stomach. She was having sex with him all the time, even in the middle of the night during her work hours. And the last time they had sex was when we were watching a movie the day before. I remember that. It's clear she was cuddling me and we kissed and made out. I feel so angry to think that she was imagining me to be him all this while. There was no way I could have suspected that she was up to this. We had regular date nights, went on trips, and talked about sex. It was twice a week. I'm not sure if this was inadequate or okay. I don't know how many times others do it. Having gone around surveying what others do, it hurts me to think. If she'd told me she wasn't satisfied, I might have been able to come up with a solution. She never said she wanted more or something else. I thought we were close enough to be honest with each other, but I guess we weren't. I looked at her social media account, but I didn't find a fair partner. Their only mode of communication was through chats and calls. How do I find out more? I've been up all night trying to figure out who this guy is who has been satisfying my darling wife. I'm feeling dizzy, but I'm too angry to sleep. I want to call a fair partner to the hospital and beat the crap out of him. I don't know what I'm going to do now. You just need to head out of here. I'll update you when I know more. I left the hospital, threw away her phone, packed her belongings, and dumped them outside my house. I also did a couple of other things. I'll come to that eventually. I left the hospital and went home, but I was feeling uneasy. I wanted to do something about my pain. I was racing inside the house, thinking about what to do, while Andrea's phone was continuously buzzing with the fair partner's calls and texts. He was concerned that she wasn't replying. I decided to fix that problem. First, I opened the phone and started chatting with him. Andrea was pasting the text conversation here. Hey, don't call or text me. I don't want to be with you anymore. Wait, what happened? Are you mad at me for something? Are you mad at me for not staying longer? I promise I'll be there next time. We'll spend the day together. Why aren't you replying? Okay, talk to me first. We can sort this out. I'm never going to meet you or stop texting you. Can we meet today and talk about this? How about I pick you up from work? I'll tell Connie I'm working overtime. Are you upset because my divorce got delayed? Trust me, I'm going to tell Connie this month. Don't do that. I don't enjoy sex with you anymore. You're more than just a toy for me. You excite me no more. I found another cute guy. Who lasts longer than you? What are you doing to me? Don't you see? I'm going out for a date with him tonight. Don't do this. You know I love you. One more message, and I'm going to tell your wife everything. The beeping stopped after that. Then I accessed her work email on her phone and sent a resignation letter to her manager asking for immediate release. Here I replied asking for a reason. I responded, saying I was angry with the toxic work culture, the poor quality of the staff, and the manager's inappropriate behavior. I also said that if he didn't approve my resignation, I would expose the truth to management. The resignation was approved within minutes. I was glad I had listened to Andrea's work issues as it helped me today. I felt a small victory. Now she's jobless and single, I have nothing to do with it. She quit her job and dumped her lover. I took her credit card and swiped off all the little money she had. I even burned all her ID, credit cards, passports, and bank documents, and didn't leave a trace of it. I flushed the ashes. If she has to find them, she'll have to scavenge the gutter and put them back. One victory after another. It would take her months to get a copy of these documents from the government authorities. It'll take her at least 2 months to get copies of these documents from the government. She can't go to government offices to get them even if she finds out they're missing. She's going to face the first blow today when she wakes up from her anesthetic. I'm gone from the hospital, she doesn't have her phone, and no one in her family or friends can help her. She knows she's in the hospital and doesn't have her insurance details with her. I'm not saying she'd be stuck there for ages, but she'd have to struggle to get by. She has no card, no money to pay the hospital bills. Even if she manages to contact her insurance provider, she has no ID with her. She might ask for help to call her parents or friends, but that's not going to be easy. Her parents live 5 hours apart. I've packed her clothes, accessories, and I also kept other belongings outside the house. In the middle of this, I got a call from the hospital. The doctor wanted me there to discuss the discharge formalities. I asked when they were going to discharge her. They said tomorrow. I said I'd be there tomorrow. I'm stuck with other stuff. They said it would delay the process and they might keep her admitted for another day. I said, sure, we can handle 1 extra day's charge. After a couple of hours, I got another call from the hospital. It was Andrea asking me to come. I said, sure, baby, I'll be there. I'm going to take a shower at home. I'll be there in an hour. I called the hospital to ask them not to let Andrea call anyone. She needs rest. They said they would do as I asked and would tell the duty nurse. I got 4 calls from the duty nurse all day. They said that Andrea was asking me to visit her and that she was getting restless. At first I thought I'd ghosted her forever. I'm not going to come. That would have made her ask other people for help. Instead of that, I kept buying time and left her hanging. I'm going to change my lock so that she's blocked from my house. I'm also going to meet my lawyer tomorrow and discuss my options for getting rid of her without paying a penny. Update 2. What a whirlwind it has been. I messed up with the hospital authorities for 2 days before. I ignored them. They called to clear the discharge formalities and take her home, but I kept putting them off, saying I was out of town. Andrea got suspicious. She noticed her phone was missing. I'd told her it was with the nurse, but the nurse would have told her by now that it was with me. She would have worked out that I'd found out the truth. Also, I'd never neglected her. She knew that I couldn't abandon her like this when she was in hospital after an accident, unless there was a good reason. I messed around for 2 days before ghosting them. But before that, I'd collected all the evidence of Andrea's cheating from her phone and kept my lawyer in the loop. That way I'd be safe if the hospital got the cops involved. Andrea called her parents when she realized things had gone wrong. Her parents turned up at my house, shouting that I'd abandoned their daughter to die in hospital and hadn't told anyone. I let them in and showed them the sex tape where their daughter was flaunting her sexuality with another man. They calmed down a bit when they saw it. We're sorry for what she has done, but this is no time for revenge. She needs you now. You took a vow that you would take care of your wife in sickness and in health. What didn't she take a vow to? That she would not seek any other men apart from me. What happened to her vow? She has broken it. But I'm going to do the same. They got really angry and stood up to leave, threatening to take me to court. I said, take her trash away from here. My house has no place for her and her stuff. They cursed me and took her things with them. I'm guessing they've taken Andrea with them until she's better. My lawyer says the divorce papers will reach her in a week. We're going to use her infidelity to get rid of her, using her chat conversation. My lawyer also has a case that she was spotted with a fair partner to. She divorced me and took me to the cleaners financially. I did everything I could to safeguard myself and not harm her. So far, so good. I'm waiting for the divorce papers to be served. Update 3, the divorce papers reach her, and she contacts me. She's still mobile, wrapped in a cast. She sent me hundreds of I got voicemails from her, some with threats, some with curses, and some with requests for a meeting. I ignored them all. Then she sent a long, threatening email saying she was going to sue me for destroying her IDs, emptying her credit card, and forging her resignation from work. I replied, go ahead if you have the money. It'll take ages for her to prove I did all this. You don't have a job or money if you drag me to court. I'll press a case of humiliation and infidelity. I have evidence of these charges. Just sign the divorce papers and get it over with. The threats and pleadings stopped, but she wasn't signing the papers either. She emailed my lawyer to say she needs a meeting before deciding on her next move. My lawyer suggested I meet her, but asked me to lay some ground rules. Meeting at we agreed to meet in a public place, without any prior arrangements. There would be no premises and no physical contact, whether it be hugging or anything else. Also, our conversation would be recorded so that she doesn't frame me falsely if needed. My lawyer, LA, would accompany me or be on a call with me. I relayed the instructions to her and she agreed. My lawyer also suggested I try and convince her to settle out of court to save money and time. I went there alone. My lawyer asked me to call him if needed. I set the recorder and sat there waiting for her to take the lead. She started off by saying, "You played smart. You did everything to destroy me and you were." She said I was successful too. I have no job, no money, and no man. He left me. I asked her if she was angry because I chased off her lover. She said no, he was a loser, and she was going to get rid of him anyway. Her nonchalant response made me laugh. I laughed, and she joined me in laughing. This took me back to our dating days when we used to discuss the men who hit on her and made fun of their pickup lines and jokes at my expense. I ended up getting picked up and became the subject of laughter. She asked why I was doing this to her with tears in my eyes. I replied, "Why did you cheat on me?" When we had everything so good, she didn't have an answer. She said it was just for fun and didn't mean anything. She was just fooling around with a fair partner and called him a S-man. I said, "Well, I guess I'm a S for sitting here with you and talking to you after you slept with someone else." The man behind me said, "Oh, come on, let's move on from this." I said, "I'm being civil with you, but this doesn't mean I'm going to have you back in my life. I'm never going to forgive you. You hurt me, and it was a sheer betrayal. You mocked me and discussed our sex life with your fair partner. She even said that my small dick went halfway into you and I didn't satisfy you." I was so embarrassed, tears rolled up in my eyes as I said this. It was humiliating for me. She held my hands, cried, and apologized. I told her to stop and stay away from me. She pulled back. I wiped my face and said that even if I could forgive her, I couldn't stop thinking that she was taking our sex life outside of our house and mocking me whenever I would kiss her or have sex with her. I would always think, I'm not enough. Not only her, but also in general. I don't think I'll ever be confident enough to move on. I'd always think, what if she thinks the same as Andrea? What if I'm really not enough? She was crying again and said, "I didn't mean any of those things I said to a fair partner. I said it only to take him in confidence. You are enough. You kept me happy. I was a fool to get distracted. I never loved a fair partner, but I did love you. Please trust me." I said, "Trust me." She pressured me, assuring me she would be loyal and that she would never look at anyone else but me. I said, "Didn't you take this vow at the altar?" She slept with another man, so she had no choice but to sign the papers. She said okay and pulled the papers out of her bag and signed them with shaking hands. She looked at me with teary eyes while handing over the papers. I was also in tears. All my rage was now flowing out of his pain. It's all over now. We've known each other for over a decade, so I thought I'd ask, would you be running back to a fair partner? She laughed and said no. He doesn't want her anymore. He doesn't want to listen to it being you. He said he's not going to cheat on his wife, for she said she was a flaky woman, but I told her it was too bad about the pain and remorse. She said I'd be happy to get my revenge, but I told her I didn't care. I just wanted to leave. We didn't say goodbye. I drove back home and thought about what I'd done. Am I wrong for doing what I did? If not, why don't I feel content after pulling off my revenge so precisely? I don't know. It's too soon to say anything. I need to soak up the reality that I'm divorced now. I was a happy married man until a few months back. Now I'm divorced.